And can you hear me okay? Because I never know. We're
Yes,
good?
yes.
Okay. So my name is Lisa, and I'm an alcoholic. And I just would like to thank you so much for asking me to share with you tonight. Everybody's taking out their time and getting on a meeting. And for people that are hosting Zoom, it's a little bit of an undertaking, Zoom is. And I'm not the best computer person, but I do I get by. So thank you so much. Before I start to share, I've been doing this just recently, actually. Have been saying this little prayer before I share, and it kind of warms my heart. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to share it with you. It's the set aside prayer, and it's in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it goes just like this. God, help me set aside everything I think I know about you, everything that I think I know about myself, everything I think I know about others, and everything I think I know about my own recovery, with a new experience with you, a new experience in myself, and a new experience with my fellows, and a new experience in my own recovery. For Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm eternally grateful. Again, my name is Lisa, and I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is June the 15th, 1993. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how it was, what it's like now, and what it used to be like, and just to give you an idea and to qualify myself. So if you didn't already notice, I have a little bit of a northern accent. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, although I do live in Boynton Beach, Florida. And I grew up, in a middle class family in Philadelphia. I had, I come from a long line of Irish people. I'm 100. I want to give a quick shout out to my cousin Michael, who's on this meeting tonight. He's got 8 years sober, and I reconnected with him last night. I haven't seen Michael in 40 years, and I found out that he's a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And what a beautiful thing that was to find out. And I said, oh, I'm speaking tomorrow night. So to a shout out to Mike. And we were talking last night about how we come from a long line of drunks and an Irishman, my particular side of the family. And I said to him last night, I'm Irish and Irish. That's the worst kind of Irish you can be when you're totally Irish. It just sort of is like the Irish virus. I mean, my family was typical American Irish family. I had 4 older brothers. I grew up in Philadelphia. My dad was a big drinker, and my mother was not. And I think about my mother now, and I think, oh my God, that poor woman. Like, she had 5 children. 4 of them were alcoholic, and she had an alcoholic husband. Like, her life was extremely unmanageable. I mean, at least we had things to anesthetize ourselves with. I often say, in the way I was raised in my house was Jimmy Hoffa married Grace Kelly. That's how I grew up. And I had a very beautiful mother who didn't drink. There was none of that kind of stuff in her background, who married, who married a man who did a lot of drinking and some other stuff as well. And that's the sort of environment I grew up with. I grew up with 4 older brothers, and I was the only female and the youngest of that family. And, as a young kid, I wanted to do everything that my brothers did, and my brothers just drank. I mean, from as far back as I can remember, there was booze in my family. There was booze at the funerals. There was booze at the weddings, the baptismas, you name it. There was booze at 4th of July and Columbus Day. We would make up, holidays just to drink. And there was a lot of chaos in my house. Although I didn't know it at the time. I really didn't even know what the word chaos meant, but there was a lot of chaos in my house. I picked up my first drink at 11 years old. It was a Black Label, and I was off and running from there. It was my neighbor's neighbor's beer. At the age of 9, prior to that, prior to me picking up a drink, I distinctly remember my Uncle Frank had passed away. And I remember going to his funeral, and we came pulling up, and because he was a young man when he died, he was in his 40s. And I remember we came pulling up, and my father and his brothers he had a gray Skylark, and they had the trunk opened, and a half keg of beer was in the trunk. So as you went up to view the body to the funeral home for when he was being laid out, my father and his brothers were giving out, silo cups for everybody who was coming to the funeral. And I remember my mother being horrified at that. She just thought that that was like the worst possible thing. When we got into the funeral, if you're Catholic and you're Irish, we have what they call viewings, and you view the body, you kneel down, you say a prayer, and then you just pay your respects and go. And when I was kneeling down, I remember distinctly seeing my uncle laying in his casket, and around his body were like bottles of Jameson and vodka, and like around his body, he was buried like with 25 bottles of booze. And I remember thinking, like, I remember thinking that was odd. Okay, that's how it kind of started. I was 9 years old. At 11 years old, I picked up my first drink. And, I hear a lot of speakers when they speak, they were like, oh, I picked up a drink. And I was out of the gate. At 11 years old, the first drink I picked up, I blacked out. And it was in a cemetery. I should have known then, right? And like there was a little bit of a progression, but I felt like I found something. In Bill's story, there's every time I read it, when I go over it with sponsees, there's this one line in Bill's story, and he says, I had arrived. He felt like he had arrived. And it's such a strong sentence for me, because when I picked up booze, I felt like I arrived, like I had arrived, like something was like my fear was taken from me. And if you would have asked me what I was afraid of, I would have had no idea. I would have had no idea how to answer you. I didn't know why I was afraid. I just knew that I was afraid. And booze instantly took that from me. I could be myself. I started out drinking down the creek with the friends, and then, after school at the keggers, after getting out of school, and just being drunk during the day at 15 years old, trying to hide it from my parents, and, just going on and on with that. And, I was able to, like, I want to say, manage it, where although I was drinking a lot, there wasn't anything that was being taken away from me yet. Now, I guess I graduated high school and I wanted to go to university. Like, I had all intentions to go into college, and I started, and I was probably maybe 18 months into college, and I just couldn't finish it. I just couldn't get up and go. I couldn't make it to class. I found myself, outside, smoking some other substances with the other people out there, I just could never start what I finished. And, like with my friends in college, and even though the girls that I went to high school with, like, there was definitely something different about me than them right out of the gate. Because when they woke up the next day after a night of partying and they did something stupid, or, they landed up, I don't know, whatever we do when we drink, getting a red light, getting a DUI or crashing their car or whatever, there wasn't a sense of like they just sort of learned from it, and they were like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. And then they would make sure the next time they went out and drank that they took a taxi or whatever they did. Like, they were responsible with their drinking. And when I drank, and I was bumping into cars on the way home and doing all that, when I woke up the next day, there was an element of self-hatred that I can't even explain, that I know that you know what that is. Self-loathing, remorse, and guilt, where the phone would ring, back when they had phones on the walls, the phone would ring and I would think, oh my God, who was that? They're paranoid. They're coming to get me. They want to say something to me. They want to embarrass me. They want to, and the only thing that would take that away again was a drink. Now, did I know that that's what was going on? Absolutely not. I had absolutely no idea that that was going on. Alls I knew is that if I had another drink, that would go away. So I'm going to just speed up a little bit. Um, um, I'm drinking every day now. I'm 19. I'm starting to suspect that there's a drinking problem 19, 20 years old. Because now I'm waking up in different states with different people in different circumstances. In, you know, they talk about incomprehensible demoralization with different, all kinds of different things. And I am not liking myself. And it's just going down and down and down. The respect that I have for myself is dwindling quickly. And I landed up, I'm just going to speed ahead, but I landed up at the very end living in the woods. Now, if you would have asked me at that particular time, Lisa, where do you live? I would have said, oh, I'm like a free gypsy soul. I'm like Stevie Nicks, and like I'm a free spirit gypsy soul, and um I live off the land, and I wash my hair in the creek, and I don't have a job like those other people, and I'm not going to be led around by the American dream. I'm just going to do my own thing. And the fact of the matter was that I was homeless. I didn't have anywhere to live. Um, I didn't have my brothers had had enough, my friends had had enough, and basically, I really wasn't reaching out to them so much because I was so embarrassed about who I was, regardless. So now I get the big idea of I'm going to start breaking into people's houses in Philadelphia. They have they have it's like row homes. Some of them are row homes, some of them are twins, but they have sliding glass doors in the basements. And if you're really good at it, you can jiggle open the sliding glass door. So I would wait. I would be in the woods and I would wait for people to leave, for work. And I would sneak up and I would, jiggle the handle open, and I would think I was the smartest person in the world. Like, like I'm going in there and I'm taking a shower and washing my hair and grabbing something to eat and watching like I'm committing felony. And I think that I'm the smartest thing that ever walked. Like I'm getting this free ride. Nobody knows about it. I make after I don't get done sleeping in the bed, I get out of it and I make it and I feel good about myself, like I made their bed, and I leave before they get home. Now, in between this, I'm sort of drinking and sort of staying at people's houses that I was drinking with the night before because I don't remember much. And so this one particular incident, I woke up and I don't even really remember with who, but I remember that my stockings were all ripped up and I had fake nails on. They were all gone. And I thought to myself, you know what, I know that there's a bar that opens up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was called the City Line Tavern right at the 66 bus in Philadelphia. And in that bar, okay, not only could you drink, but they also had dry goods services. So you could get, a bottle of booze or whatever. And also you could just order your powder over I'll take this and this. And there I am at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm waiting for this bar to open. And there's this Philadelphia Inquirer stand, like right across the street from it. And there's this guy selling papers. And I'm slumped over on the side. And his name was Joe Brown. God bless his soul. I mean, he passed away, but He came out of that Philadelphia Inquirer stand. He had like a little kiosk there, and he walked over to me and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And here I am thinking he's he's trying to pick me up. Like, are you serious? Like, you know how we are, right? We think we're gorgeous when we're like 86 pounds and, no, my stockings are all ripped up. I got no nails. My hair hasn't been washed in 3 days. And, I think he's trying to pick me up. And, and I remember thinking like, who is this guy? Like, I'm just waiting to get my beard for the City Line bar to open up. And he squatted down next to me. He said, "You know what? Like, what are you doing here for, 4:30 in the morning? Like, maybe you should look at your drinking." And I was like, "Who are you? Like, who exactly are you? Like, go away. Like, just get out of here." And I went in, I got a six pack, I got my stuff, and I left and I walked up Knights Road trying to figure out like where can I possibly stay, at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Honestly, I don't really remember too much of that day. I must have gone somewhere. The last, I would say, year of my drinking was like a total blackout. I only remember pieces of it. So long story short, now I'm living in the woods full time. So I only lived in the woods probably about maybe, I don't know, maybe a month. I can't really remember, but I know it wasn't a really long time. So it was in the morning time and I'm in the woods and I'm right behind a place, Somerton Plaza it was called. It was a strip mall. And the strip mall was in front, and off to the side were these houses that I was going into. And I was waiting for families to leave to see, which house that I was going to go in and all. And and as I'm waiting, I see these people coming out of the back on a patio, and they all have like white styrofoam cups. And I remember thinking, who are these weirdos? Here I am, like with the hedges down, like this, right? Looking out, like, who are these weirdos? And I don't know it, but this Joe Brown is there and he spots me. Now, I don't remember him, right? So all I know is I see a guy looking at me and I'm like, oh my God, the hedges go back up and I'm like, oh my God, they saw me. I'm like paranoid. I'm out of my mind. At this point, my disease, I'm mentally ill. Totally. I had no real cognitive, like my thinking is way, way gone. And I see him walking down the hill and I'm like, oh my God, who is this guy? He spotted me and now I'm thinking like, is it a guy who lives in the house and all this stuff? And he comes down and he takes one look at me and he goes, "Hey, how are you?" And I was like, "Hey, how are you?" And this is why people that uh, have a lot of time, that have a lot of wisdom and knowledge in Alcoholics Anonymous need to keep coming back, because this man, I found out later, he had, I don't know, 38 years or something, but he knew exactly what to say to help me. He leaned down and he said to me, "Listen, we have coffee and donuts up there. You want something to eat?" And I was like, yeah, I want something to eat. And he's like, "Why don't you come and join us?" And I was like, yeah. And he, when anybody reaches out their hand, we are responsible. Oh my God, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional. But anyway, he reached out his hand, pulled me out of those hedges. Believe it or not, I had high heels on. I know you're shocked. I remember my heels going into the grass. My first meeting was June the 15th or maybe June the 14th, 1993, at a place called the Reality Group at Somerton Noon. And he pulled me out of the weeds And we go up and we sit in the back of this AA room. And I sit down, and there was a gentleman sitting next to me. And he said to me, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" And I'm thinking to myself, this is why I came, mister, because I have no idea. I have no idea at this point I'm in an AA meeting. All I know is they got coffee, donuts. I see some like Oreo cookies in the back. And I notice there's men. There's a lot of men in the room. So now I'm like, ooh, who can I get to, who can I manipulate here? And so the gentleman next to me said, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd like a cup of coffee." So he goes walking back to the coffee bar to get me a cup of coffee. And I distinctly remember there was like maybe 35, maybe 40 people, I think. I don't really remember, around there. And he goes back to get me a cup of coffee. I jump out of my seat and I say to him, 2 creamers, 2 sugars, and could you pop that in the microwave because I like it hot? And everybody looked at me, and I thought, what are they looking at me for? Like, don't they like their coffee hot? Like, my insanity. And here you go. If you ever go to a meeting and in comes the newcomer, swagging, swaying, shorts all the way up to their ass, they're like, "Hey," they're the first person I go, "Hey, come on over here," because I am that girl. I am that girl. I always have to remember that that's who I am. Alcoholics Anonymous molded me and carved me into something completely different, but that's really who I am. I'm manipulating, trying to get over on someone, trying to get this, sleep with somebody so I can get, shelter, food, whatever I need, another drink. I'm mentally ill. I don't know that I am. I think that I'm cool and cute. My hair's 3 different colors. I'm in shorts and high heels. So you can just imagine. And he brought back that cup of coffee. The entitlement that comes along with alcoholism in the beginning is a part of the illness. And I need to remember that I can never take that personally when I see somebody who's just like me. Because alcoholism, it manifests in a lot of different ways. It manifests in, 1,000 forms of fear. Talks about it in our literature. And that's fear. Somebody walking into a meeting, swaying, and that's all fear. That's all fear. They're scared to death. So anyway, that was my first meeting. So now I'm in the meeting. I don't know what people are talking. And I'm like, how am I going to get back to the donuts? Checking out the guys. I don't even know I'm in a meeting. No idea. So and then they all stand up, and I remember like, why are they standing up? And then praying. I was like, what is going on here? And Joe said to me, "Listen, we're going to go out to get some pizza afterwards. Would you like to go with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to go with you." And well, long story short, he didn't go, but a group of guys and girls took me to a place called Michelangelo's Brick Oven Pizza on Bustleton Avenue. And that was my first time that I was ever out to like a dine or a lunch, with AA people. And that started me on my journey. And I remember, long story short, I had to go back to my mother's house because, well, first of all, this is how AA women show up for you. Because after that pizza, they were like, what are we going to do with her? Like, all right, well, you take her for 2 days. I'll take her for a day. You take her for 2 days. And, I call them my AA kidnappers. They didn't tell me, "Oh, listen, you're in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Are you ready to stop drinking?" Mm-mm. They just said, "Oh, listen, we don't drink. So anyway, come with us." And I didn't even understand what they were doing to me. And they just threw it. "Well, where am I going?" Just get in the car." ice cream. We're going for ice cream. And I was like, ice cream. Yes. Right. We're going for ice cream. I landed up in another meeting. I'm like, I thought we were going to ice cream. Oh, we are. We are going for ice cream right after the meeting. And then, all right, get in the car. Get in the car. All right, we're going for ice cream. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're going for ice cream. Landed up another meeting. Why are we here? I thought we were going for ice cream. Yeah, right after this meeting. I thought, oh my God, what am I going? This just, that's how they didn't explain. They didn't say, would you like to? They just said, get in the car. Get in the car. And there's something so beautiful about getting in the car. Just, they saved my life, and they all knew what was going on, but I had no idea. It took me about 3 weeks to even understand. I mean, I even went, they were like, listen, you're an Alcoholics Anonymous. You're going to go to meetings with us now. And I thought to myself, well, these people are nice enough. I can hang out with them. They're feeding me. They're getting me. They're buying me cigarettes. When I smoke, they're buying me cigarettes. One girl just opened up her closet and she said to me, just take what you want. I was like, man, these people are great. Like, I'm taking her clothes and thinking, where, I didn't even really know where I was. So when you see a newcomer come in like that, we need to remember who we were and how we acted, because 6 months sober. All right, so now I'm getting sober, and I'm getting sober, and I'm getting sober, and I'm going to these meetings, and these girls are picking me up, and even a couple girls and guys, we're all going to the meeting together, and they're picking me up, and now I'm back at my mom's house, and now I'm getting a clue now. Now I'm in AA. Sometimes I go to CA meetings because I don't know what the difference was. Anyway, so I'm getting sober. I'm getting sober. Now, the whole time in meetings, they're talking about, the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, getting a sponsor, a God. And I'm like, oh, I got to go shopping. I got to make sure that my hair's done. I got to get dolled up. I got to find a boyfriend. I got to hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And although that they were, and I was like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. Oh yeah, I can relate to that. But I really didn't think it had anything really to do with me, because I was so very busy at like joining a gym. Well, I didn't even have money for a gym, but here you go. I bought a tanning bed that the half of the bulbs were broken. Remember tanning beds? Half the bulbs were broken, and I had them stuff it down my girlfriend's garage because my tan was extremely important to me, and my clothes. And I'm, doing 775 push-ups and sit-ups a day, and I'm at the gym, and I go for my first haircut, and the good lady says to me, we got to take off 6 inches of your hair. Like, you're a mess. And now I got a new haircut. I'm looking good. I'm feeling good. I got a tan. I got new shoes. I got a new shirt. And they're like, you need a sponsor. You need a sponsor. You need a sponsor. And yeah, okay. Yeah. I got a sponsor. Will you be my sponsor? And then never called them, that kind of thing. And that was the beginning of my sobriety. Now, it took me a really, really long time to understand what alcoholism truly is. Alcoholism really isn't too much about booze. It is, we have a perception problem. We have a mind, an ego mind that thinks, and it ponders, and it analyzes, and it wonders. Oh, and it's a big noticer. I'm noticing everything you're doing. I'm judging everything you're doing. I'm watching everything you're doing, but I don't have the wherewithal to actually look within. Although people are saying to me, Lisa, you need to put a pen to paper. You need to find a God of your understanding. I'm like, yeah. When's the pig roast? When's the dance am I going to? I thought we were going on a ski trip. I thought we were going whitewater rafting. Where I was fellowship, right? Thank God for the fellowship, because it kept me coming back. And thank God for the men, because that also kept me coming back. And at 6 months sober, I remember my sponsor saying to me, Lisa, we don't get sober from the waist down. And I thought, oh, I was horrified. It's like, oh my God, like, how does she know? How does she know? Because you know how she knew. Oh, dear Lord. Anyway, so there I was just trying to get sober. Now I'm speeding up. Now I get my first year. Now I'm telling people that about my steps, right? And I'm telling people, oh yeah, what step are you on? I'm on step one. I'm step two. I was a 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3. So I start going to this meeting in South Philadelphia on Moy-Mensing Avenue. And I'm at this meeting and this guy sits down next to me. And of course, I think God sent him to me. God sent him to me because he placed him right next to me. So it's definitely he sent him to me. And he said to me, "So, how you doing?" And I was like, all about myself, you know. I was like, "Oh, good, good, good." And he said, "Listen, what step are you on?" And I was like, "Oh, what step are you on?" He's like, "Oh, I just, I'm in the middle of my fourth step." I'm like, "I'm in the middle of my fourth step." Like, and then I remember saying to my sponsor, "I got to start my fourth step," because I wanted to be like hooked up with him, and I had to be on. This is how I, did my steps. If I like somebody, they were on step 4, I was like, I got to do my step 4. So God will use anything. God will use anything to help you stay on the path. And so anyway, I started my step 4, but I had no real interest in doing it. And my sponsor was very excited because I had maybe, I don't know, 18 months now. And she's like, "Okay, let's get pen to paper. I'm going to have you over in my house and we're going to do this and blah, blah, blah," and on and on. And I started doing my 4-step, and it was sort of like this. It was like, the columns and put it. And then I remember thinking, well, like they deserved all that anyway. Like I'm not even 1 ounce sorry about any of this shit. I not even this much sorry. Like they deserved it. And well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And maybe I shouldn't have done that. But listen, everybody makes mistakes. It's real easy. Okay. I hear a lot of people in AA say, don't beat yourself, don't beat yourself. I wasn't beating myself up in the beginning. I was letting myself off the hook. Toot sweet. Toot sweet. I was judging you to death. Oh, it's some of the. But when it came to me, I was like, oh, well, you don't understand what happened. This is what happened. It was very easy for me to justify and rationalize anything. This went on, folks, for a long time. Because my first run at the steps, I did it. I did do them. I did my 6th. I did my 7th. But I have to tell you that for me, in my experience, alcoholism for me was like putting an ice cube in warm water. It took me a long time to thaw out, and it took me a long time to even get my it took me 3 years to read something and then actually remember what I was reading. I would read it like an English professor and have no idea what I just read. It took me 3 years to start comprehending the big book when I read it with my sponsor. My brain was soaked with alcohol, just soaked with alcohol. So now I'm like, 2 years sober, 18 months, 2 years sober, maybe 2.5 years sober. And all of a sudden I feel this hole inside of my chest getting bigger and wider. It's getting uglier. And I start trying to fill it with everything, filling it with tanning beds and shoes. And now I got this good job, and now money and men and cowboy boots and shopping and Visa and credit cards and blah, 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 and you name it. Everything on the outside trying to fill this God-shaped hole, which I had now they were saying to me, Lisa, it's a God-shaped hole. And I was like, I did not hear them for whatever reason. This went on and on and on. So, with 2.5 years sober, when you have this big gaping hole inside of you and you don't know what to do, what do? You get married. You get another AA person and you walk down the aisle and you think that that's going to make it okay. And that's what I did. I got married, and I had to make amends to that man. Believe me. And of course, when I'm sure you already figured out it didn't work out, right? And I had to make amends to him because it was all his fault. Completely. Do you know what he did to me? Do you know how he treated me? Because I was unaware that I was a victim, that I would not give up my victim card, that everybody was out to get me. The world is just a dangerous and ugly place, and they're all trying to take advantage of me, and woe is me, and woe is me, and woe is me. And God forbid you ask me how I'm doing, because all I'm going to do is tell you about how everybody's victimizing me and how everything isn't working out for me. And every once in a while, I'd throw in a line of gratitude, or I would throw in like, yeah, fake it till you make it. And I really don't know how I stayed sober. I really don't know how. I just kept, well, I do. I just kept on going to meetings and going to meetings and going to meetings. And little by little by, little by little by, like little things were starting to sink in. And then I would be like, oh, that's what they mean. Like little light bulbs would, oh, that's what they mean. So I got divorced from that gentleman. And, what do we do when we have, we got divorced and the hole opened up again. And I couldn't just focus in on him and what he was doing and trying to run his life and trying to control him and trying to tell him and blah, 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 trying to do all that with him. And the hole opened up again. And what I found was, I thought, you know what? Money never hurt me. Money never hurt me. I'm going to go after money. I'm going to get real ambitious real quick. So I was like, that's it. So I opened up my own business, and I was like, you know how we are, 80 hours a week, like a down skier down a slope, like 1,000 miles an hour. I'm going to get ambitious. I'm going to make money. I'm going to do this. And listen, I did. I had a successful business. I opened up a jewelry store in Jewelers Row, and, it's starting to come in, and I'm starting to, little by little bit, things are getting better. Things are getting better. And now I'm making money. Now that brings up a whole different kind of element, because I'm arrogant. I'm ignorant. I have no idea what my real problem is. And now I got a couple dollars in my pocket. Watch out. Right? Because now I have a boyfriend, but I need another boyfriend just to have the feeling of sneaking around. I mean, 9 months sober, I'm walking into the CVS with $500 in my pocket, stealing rubber bands, because I love that sneaky feeling. I love that feeling. And I don't know what's wrong with me. And even though a sponsor would sit down with me and open up that book, for whatever reason, this is just my story, I could not hear what she was saying. And because I was so filled with me and more of me. And I had no idea that I didn't have a God, because I was so self-reliant. And then I start getting cars. And now I'm building my own custom house in New Jersey. And now I got this successful business. And now I'm making money. And it's almost like, I'm going to meetings and I'm saying, thank you, God, for, Joe pulling me out of the woods and, giving me a life beyond my wildest dreams, and having, my new vehicle. I never thought that I could live like this. And thank you, God, for, placing me in a position where I no longer need you. Or no longer had you, because my life was propelled on self delusion and self will. I moved to Jersey, and I'm in a lot of pain. I don't know that I'm in pain. I'm just walking around constantly in fear and terror, but it's become normal for me. So I don't know that I don't know, because I've never experienced what it's like to be free. So how the hell would I know? So I go to this meeting, keep it simple, stupid meeting, perfect for me. I go to this meeting over in Jersey, in Burlington. I'm at this meeting. There's this woman up there, and she's celebrating 25 years. And that particular day, I was in a lot of pain because I was acting out while I was married, just all kinds of stuff. And I went out and I walked up to this woman and I said, "Is there a possibility that I can talk to you after you get done, speaking?" And she said, "Sure." So anyway, we go out. We're sitting out on the curb there, and I said, "Hi, I'd like to introduce myself, and I just want to let you know that what I'm about to say could hurt my reputation." And she said, "Stop right there." She said, "I don't care about you, your reputation, none of that." She goes, I already know who you are. I already know what's going on with you." And I go, and I was like, "Why are they talking about me?" Like, um, she said, "You know what I call you, Lisa? I call you the busy people like you and Alcoholics Anonymous that have." I had 8 years sober. She said, "You're busy. Busy, 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 busy like a little bee. Busy, busy, busy. You go to work, you come home, you do your thing, go to the gym, you go here, you go there, you flop down at 12 o'clock and get up and do it all over again. You don't give yourself 1 second to feel. You have no idea who you are. And most of all, you are your own God." And I'm like, "What?" But inside, like, I was like, I know, I knew that she was right, because maybe 6 months prior to that, I'm living in Jersey now, and I'm driving over to Philadelphia to go to work. And I just bought this beautiful, like, when Lexuses just came out, they were like big, like 420, it was a brand new. I'm driving over and I'm driving my brand new, beautiful car. And I remember distinctly thinking, how can I get the airbag out of the steering wheel? Because if I go into the bridge quick enough, I won't feel a thing. It'll be over just like that. And then I would think to myself, why am I thinking like that? What? Why am I thinking like? Because if you would have saw me at 8 years sober, you would have been like, "Hey, look at that girl." I'm walking around. I'm in the best shape of my life, right? I'm wearing nothing but designer clothes. I'm in this, I have my own business, driving my own car, boyfriend and boyfriend and boyfriend. And I'm like, "Yo," and I'm looking good and I'm smelling good and I'm acting good and I'm dying. I'm dying on the inside. Dying. And I started having, like, thinking of ways to just end it. Because drinking was no longer an option. I was like, I'm not drinking anymore. And honestly, not because of, like, because I didn't want people talking about me. I didn't want people to say, "Oh, did you hear so and so?" And I was like, So I'd just rather kill myself. That's how strong my ego is. I didn't pick up a drink because of my reputation. Could you imagine? My my pride and my ego was so strong, and on top of it, arrogant. Arrogance was like, now I think that all this time I want to tell you that I think I'm a Girl Scout, because I'm taking women to meeting, I'm sponsoring girls, I'm doing the thing, I am giving, and I am making meetings, and I am doing the best that I possibly can. But I take that piece of me and I exalt it, like, look what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing all of this. Like, um, I had no idea what it was, what real, like, walking shoulder to shoulder with somebody, or a real idea of what humility even felt like, because I didn't have any of it. I had no idea. Anyway, this woman took me over to, she took me into her house, and she basically put a mirror in front of my makeup mirror in front of my face at the kitchen table. And she said, "You've been sober for 8 years, Lisa." She said, "You no longer have a drinking problem, but boy, oh boy, do you got a Lisa problem. And if you would like to have a new experience with the steps, then I will take you through, and we'll do it. And you meet me here Thursday evenings at 6:30, from 6:30 to 7:30. And if you can't make it, you don't see me till the following week. And if you don't do what I tell you to do, tell me now, because there's 7 women behind you that need my help that are actually willing to do the deal. And I remember feeling insulted, like, I got 8 years sober. And I knew that she was right, because there was something, that inner voice, that God voice, that small whisper that we're all born with. See, the ego speaks first, and it speaks loudest, and it screams. That's how you know it's the ego. But that small gut inner voice that whispers, you better go. You better go. That's the voice that I thank God I listened to. Her name was Sally Blatherwick, and she saved my life. She had passed away. She was my sponsor for 15 years almost. And she saved my life. She changed me. She showed me. She hugged me and slapped me at the same time. And she was never, ever afraid to tell me the truth. And she would tell me about what alcoholism really is. That alcoholism is a cunning, baffling, powerful, powerful illness. That it is a silverback gorilla pretending it's a bunny rabbit. And it will use absolutely anything to get in. It's like water. You ever leak in your house? You ever notice what is the most damaging? It will use my pride. It will use my grief. It'll use my sadness. It'll use my arrogance. It'll use my ignorance. It'll use me feeling good, feeling bad. It'll use absolutely anything to get me to come back. And on top of it, it does it in increments that are so small that you don't even notice. You don't even notice that you're halfway gone. You think you're doing okay. That's how cunning and baffling this illness is. That you will have no other choice to pick up a drink if you are as self-reliant as I was. I'm just going to share one little thing that she shared with me, okay? It's in 12 and 12. And I'm going to finish up with this. She read this paragraph to me every single time I met her for almost a year. She said, these instincts that are so necessary for our existence often far exceed their proper functions. They powerfully, blindly, and many times subtly, they drive us, they dominate us, and they insist upon ruling our lives. Our desires for sex, for material and emotional security, and for an important place in society often tyrannize us. When thus out of joint, man's natural desire caused him trouble, great trouble. No human being, however good, is exempt from these. Nearly every serious emotional problem can be seen as a case of misdirected instinct. And when that happens, our great natural assets, the instincts, have turned into physical and mental liabilities. And she said, Lisa, you need that tattooed on you, because that is your Achilles heel. That is your weak link. You will always go back to thinking, I know I'm okay. I'm all right now. Ever since I've gone through the steps with Sally for the second time and really did my steps for the first time, I've been free. So I know what it's like to be in terror and fear, and I know what it's like to be free. And there is nothing like this program. I'm blessed to be an alcoholic. I'm blessed to be an alcoholic. And we're running out of time. So I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to share and speak. And thank you. My name is Lisa Lowe, and I'm an alcoholic.